Today we welcome technically back Paul and Faith from My Reseller Genie. They've been on the show, but they're back today to dig a little deeper. So, welcome back, Paul and Faith.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Good to be back.
We're excited to be here.
All right. We're excited to help you share your story. So, Paul, what does My Reseller Genie do for online sellers?
Yeah, so My Reseller Genie is a web-based accounting software built specifically for resellers. So think of us kind of like QuickBooks or Xero, but we only care about resellers.
Okay.
That is the short version.
Yeah, that's
There's
the
a
short
lot
version.
we can do.
That's the short version. Yeah, I mean, the longer version is just, it's a specialized tool, you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the benefits of that are,
a lot.
yeah, there are a lot. I mean, all of our development is geared towards resellers.
Mm-hmm.
All of our support materials are geared towards resellers.
Training
Our support
materials.
reps, well, rep, which is me right now, is I only deal with resellers.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of benefits that come from a specialized tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Faith, how does it work? Is there an interface? I upload a spreadsheet, my numbers, or how does that all work high level?
Yeah, so that is a long answer. It kind of depends on which plan you're going to choose. So we currently have 3 plans. Basic, which starts at $9.99 a month, and then there's premium, which is $14.99 a month, and then ultimate, which is $19.99 a month. So very, very inexpensive, especially after you look into some of these other accounting softwares. We're not trying to break your bank. So again, it really depends on which plan you choose, and then also which selling platforms you're on. So currently we do have eBay integration, which is fantastic because that's going to make getting all of your inventory, your sales, all of your fees, your returns into the app really, really quickly. But the cool thing about Genie is that we have made it compatible with any and all selling platforms. So,
Okay.
compatibility doesn't equal integration necessarily, but it does mean that, you can record all of your sales, all of your inventory from any and all selling platforms, even if, you're at a booth or if you sell a pair of shoes to your neighbor across the street. And then with Poshmark and Mercari, those platforms specifically, we have a very, very succinct way to get all your inventory and sales. And it's like a couple clicks of a button. So
Okay.
so it depends on which platforms you're on, how big of a seller you are. But, you just start out with getting your inventory loaded if you track inventory, and then your sales. And then we also have bank integration as well. So you can bring in all of your expenses, even PayPal integration, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you did pretty well.
Yeah.
All right. So, Paul, what's the first step for a seller to get started?
Yeah. So first step is when you log in, it's going to show you a couple of screens, like pointing you to different areas in the app. One of those is a checklist. So that checklist just kind of gives you this general framework for like, okay, what are the things I need to be thinking about? And then from there, you can use our startup instructions. We send them to you via email. There's a little help icon right in the app that you can search our knowledge base, or you can go to our YouTube channel. We've got written instructions, video instructions. So it's getting set up. There are things that will walk you all the way through it. And if you ever have questions, you can just send us a message and we'll help get you back on track.
Yeah.
Nice. So this would be one that I would like both perspectives on. So from each of your perspectives, what made you decide to launch My Reseller Genie?
Let me go first.
Okay. All right. So I would say it was abundantly clear there was a real need in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it secondhand because my wife was the reseller, and I saw the difficulties that she had, and then I heard about the difficulties that other friends or people that she met through, Facebook groups or Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
like all of them were having similar problems. And we were just like, yeah, between the two of us, we have the subject matter expertise and the know-how to create a solution here. So
yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah. And then from my end, this might be a little bit more drawn out, but So I started selling about we're coming up on 7 years. Woo! 7 years of reselling. I started out on Poshmark. Now I've, expanded to other platforms and stuff. But when my first tax season as a reseller rolled around, I had no idea what I was doing, and it was a nightmare. And I won't go into that because I'm sure that most of you guys who are listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there are tears, there were headaches. It was 3 months of it was awful. And I was like, I can't be the only one, who's struggling with this. And come to find out, like Paul said, in my search on Facebook groups or on Instagram, just hearing from other sellers, it was just very, very clear that this was a common theme in the reselling community, that when it comes to the topic of accounting or taxes or any of those quote unquote taboo words, which we are trying to, untaboo, is that we need help with this. And, I'm not the only one. And I'd say that it's the majority, who needs help with this. So, but fast forward through there, Paul helped me that first tax season. He was fantastic. Gave me a spreadsheet, or made a spreadsheet rather. And so, I was good. I had my system down. I was like, all right, we got this. But then fast forward a couple of years and COVID hit. And, Paul was working in accounting at the time. Thankfully, he didn't lose his job, but he did lose a couple hours in his job. So we had to look for supplemental income. And oh man, that was a headache, wasn't it? I forget how long we searched. It was rough trying to find something. And it occurred to me, I will never forget, I was standing downstairs in my kitchen, and Paul, he was working remotely. So he's just, working on his computer at the dining room table. And I was like, babe, what if we took what you made for me and, jazzed it up a little bit and offered it to the reselling community? And we are very, very different people. Doug, tell me if I'm rambling on too much.
No.
Right. We're very, very different people. I'm more relational. I'm the reseller. He is deliberate. He is technical. So many of the things that I am not. And so I kind of expected him to just write off my suggestion right away and, just think, no, that's not going to work out. But he actually paused in the way that Paul does when he's thinking about something. And I was like, oh, this is a good sign.
All right.
So he paused and he was like, maybe we could try that. And so fast forward like 3 months later, he coded this gorgeous, gorgeous Excel spreadsheet. And it wasn't even like a spreadsheet, basically, because you didn't need to even know Excel knowledge in order to use it. We sold 500 copies of that later that year.
Wow.
And then it became apparent to us that, hey, in order to help more people, we need to go web-based, because, whether or not your spreadsheet is easy to use, people don't like spreadsheets, myself included, even though this one was very, very easy to use. So that's kind of how we got here.
No offense, Paul. Faith said nobody likes spreadsheets. So Paul, are you full-time now?
Yeah, my emphasis is My Reseller Genie. So I always tell people I have a background in corporate accounting.
And so, Faith, you mentioned you're a reseller, and you told us where you sell and what so what do you sell? No, I'm going to start over. Sorry. Faith, you're a reseller. You told us where you sell. So I'm interested, how do you balance the two now? My Reseller Genie and reselling.
Yeah. So, I mean, we love this community so much. It became apparent to us that because we were making a software for the community, that customer support and customer just communication, all that was going to be a priority for us, because I'm sure that you can relate to, having had bad customer support, like in the past with whatever company, like you name it. And we were like, no, like we're not going to be defined by that. So all of that to say, My Reseller Genie is my priority always. And if I have time, I'm reselling. So I wish I could say that I was full-time reselling, but this business thankfully it's grown and it's growing. And yeah, so the majority of my time is spent on My Reseller Genie.
All right. And Paul, any chance you'll sell?
I think there is a chance. So
okay.
I've sold a couple items before, and it was really exciting.
He loved it.
I did love it. Now, that being said, I also recognize it's a ton of work to be a reseller, and to develop a competency of just being able to recognize value in something that most other people don't.
Yeah.
So I may get there. I'm kind of far from there right now, but I could see myself getting into it.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it'd be helpful to, walk a mile in the reseller's shoes.
Yeah.
So besides, besides My Reseller Genie, do you do anything to help Faith with her reselling, or is it all on her shoulders?
Yeah, it's all on her. Like I packed up one sale once when she was visiting her sister,
All
and
right.
she was amazing. She walked me through the whole process. I didn't have to think at all. It was just like she had it all systematized. Like get this bag from here, get this box from here, and
Yeah, he was great. I mean, Paul, he's not giving himself enough credit. I have dragged Paul to the thrift store before, and he has been a good sport, but it was very clear to me that it was just not his cup of tea to sort through
Okay.
racks and racks of clothing, because
just hard work.
that's kind of what I specialize in is clothing and shoes. So, but another thing that I will say is that we recently had our first Whatnot show, I think about a month ago. And we're not planning on going full time on Whatnot or anything like that. It was more so, we just wanted to kind of engage with the community
Cool.
on the Whatnot app, and it was a whole lot of fun. And we did it together. I mean, I was the main one in front of the camera, but he was making everything, all the stuff just roll in the background with all of the new listings pinned, and so he did great. And I mean, we had a whole lot of fun with that. But I still did all the packing up afterwards.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
And you mentioned the seller community. You both, are definitely parts of it. You fit in so well. And, we've seen each other at many events, and you've attended and sponsored some events. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our first event that we attended and sponsored was Boss Reseller Remix in Vegas. That was a lot of fun. So we interact with customers all the time through email.
Yeah.
But there's something totally different about meeting customers in person. It's really exciting because if they have a problem, you can just sit down with them and open up the computer and walk them through it. And B, like if your product has helped them, they tell you, and it's really rewarding because you work so hard on making this into something that you hope helps people, but seeing it firsthand is just like, wow, that's
amazing.
That's exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have anything you want to add?
I mean, I don't know. Again, Doug, like you would just have to cut me off. There's so much that I could say. Like you mentioned that we fit in so well. I think that's because like we're just kind of all cut from a similar cloth when it comes to this reselling. And whenever we get together with other sellers, it's not just motivational for us.
Yeah.
It's inspiring. It feels like family in a way. Just the community aspect is so massive. So yeah, we went to Boss last year. We're going to be at Boss again this year. We were at FlipCon this year. We're going to be at Reseller Rally next week. Actually, are you guys going to be at Reseller Rally, Doug?
We will be there. Trish will be there. So there you go. You can make up for today. I'll be at Boss. So yeah, we're doing eBay Open next week. We're splitting up. Then Trish will be at Reseller Rally. I think Clara might be there.
Okay.
And then obviously we're doing Posh Fest, and then we're doing Boss.
Awesome. So, you guys are busy.
Yeah, the next few weeks are pretty crazy.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really, really grateful for this community. And like Paul said, like I will never forget the first event that we went to last year to sponsor. We had one of our customers come up to us, and she's just beaming, like her face, she was just like glowing, and she just like comes over and shakes my hand, and she's like, I'm so excited to meet you. And I was just so humbled by that. I'm sure that you guys can relate to that all the time with List Perfectly, and people just coming up to you and just being like, thank you so much. And it means the world to us to know that, okay, like this little vision that we had in our tiny kitchen in Baltimore, 3 years ago is actually helping people. And yeah, it's very humbling to us.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, it's very validating, very humbling, and it's great to make that real world connection with people that online. And there are plenty of sellers that I either know their real name or their selling name. So
Yes.
like, hey, what's up, Rockstar Flipper? Or so but here's another each of you question. So for each of you, what's your single top piece of advice for online sellers?
How about you go first?
Okay. So I'll just say this, and I'm saying it mostly because I have talked to so many of you guys who are listening and to a lot of people in the community about how did you get into reselling. And an underlying theme with that is people with either chronic illness or disability or mental health issue or just like you name it. And I actually came from a background with that because I struggle with chronic autoimmune illness. And so that was the reason why I got into selling. So there's that piece, but then it's like, okay, if you do struggle with one of those, which hopefully you do not, but if you do, and I do think that there's a lot of us who do, trying to figure out what consistency looks like for you, because it's going to look different for so many people. And I don't mean to I don't want that to sound I don't know, like a generic response, because I do think that people kind of preach that sometimes, like figure out like what works for you. But I know for me that I have tried to follow the mold for for certain sellers. But I know with my health now, if I do that, I'm just going to get really sick, and then I'm not going to be able to work at all. And so figuring out what is that balance, what is that workflow that you need, and it might look totally different than the majority of people, and that's okay. And just be confident in that and make adjustments as needed and be willing to pivot. Like I think as resellers, we're already having to pivot anyway because reselling has changed so much, especially in the last year. But being willing to pivot just with your personal life and the challenges that you have, that come facing to you. So,
all right.
Cool. I like it.
thanks.
So I would say, as much as you can, try and develop systems that work for you. Because I mean, as a reseller, like you're a small business owner, and that's a concise way of saying you have to do
there's a lot
everything. Your operations, your IT, your accounting, you're the executive. Like there's just so many different areas that you need to be hitting on in order to move your business forward. At the company where I used to work, the CEO would always say that a company is like an orchestra, and everybody needs to be playing together, in sync and well for the concert to go well. So you've got an orchestra that you need to
run.
Thank you. She's a musician. I know. So you've got an orchestra you need to conduct, and you're playing all the instruments as a small business owner. So figuring out systems that work for you is just, I think, really key for two reasons. One, you don't have to think as much about all the different things that you need to do. And two is, once you get to the point that you can hire people, you can say, here's the system, learn the system.
Great answers. All right. For each of you, what's the number one mistake you see from sellers?
Okay. Well, look, some of you guys hear this answer because you think, oh, well, of course she's going to say this because she runs an accounting.
We're going to have the same answer.
Because she runs an accounting software. But guys, I am not kidding. Like I'm trying to be very open-minded and think about all of the different mistakes I see. The biggest one that I see is people not tracking their numbers and not accounting for their business. And so many people, and guys, please know, like I came from that background too. Like I wasn't doing it. I wasn't tracking anything. And quite frankly, I didn't see the importance of it.
Okay.
And that was the root, I think, because as soon as you realize that something's important, you're going to find a way to make it happen, But once you realize that accounting isn't just for like the ease of tax season and to kind of get through without tears, but you realize that accounting is understanding the health of your business and realizing, okay, is this area healthy? Is it sick? Do I need to make changes? where does there need to be growth? Where is there, stuff we need to just kind of throw into the dumpster? Guys, it's revolutionary. And I hear from people all the time, just that they're either not tracking their numbers or, like they're going to put it off. And I just have to say, from personal experience, and then just from speaking to like countless people, whether if they email us, if they DM me on Instagram, or at the conferences that we've been at, people, a lot of people unfortunately don't see the importance of it, but it's extremely important. And I'll let you.
Yeah, that was 100% my answer. I think I'll just kind of hit on something that you were already discussing, which is just the reason why you want to keep up with your numbers. I mean, everybody knows that taxes is one reason. And can you maybe sort of get to an accurate, tax picture by just doing it once at the end of the year? Maybe. It's tough.
Yeah. It's not gonna be fun.
It's definitely not gonna be fun. It probably won't be very accurate. I mean, you can get decent accuracy, maybe.
Yeah, and it depends too how big your business is.
If you're good, yeah. But the other piece to it that I think is easy to forget about is just throughout the year running your business and having a sense of what's going on.
Sure.
I personally think it's really stressful to just not have any idea what's going on. It's like, it's your income source.
Yeah.
And if you don't really know how much you're making, you don't have a sense for like how much you need to be paying in quarterly tax returns, it's stressful. So yeah, I would say biggest mistake that we see is not keeping up with the books.
Yeah. So yeah, just like the last thing I would say about that, and hopefully some of you guys can resonate with this. I think you can, because I've heard a lot of you say it. I used to think that I had a really good handle on my numbers when I wasn't tracking, because I can keep it all up here in my head.
Yeah.
And I come from a background of having to memorize a whole lot of stuff. Like Paul said, I was a musician. I had the music brain, all that. And I used to think, I'm good. Guys, that first tax season, I realized I was hardly profitable. Actually, I don't remember. Was I in the red? I was either in the red or I wasn't profitable at all. And I say that not to scare you, but to appeal to you that you have to start somewhere. And as soon as you do, whether that's, obviously we're here over My Reseller Genie, but whether that's using us or something else, a spreadsheet, whatever, you are doing yourself a huge service by starting to track. And again, don't get stressed out by or overwhelmed by thinking you got to figure it all out in one day, because this is going to be a process. It's going to take some time, and that's okay. But I promise you guys, like once you start tracking, you're going to realize, oh man, like maybe I'm not doing as good as I thought I was doing. But that's going to give you the information you need to empower you to make the changes that you need so that you can come out on top. But yeah, don't just trust your memory. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys have amazing memories, but there's so many fees, involved in reselling. A lot of us don't think about, the cost of certain things. And yeah, so I'll leave it at that.
Oh, that's a good add-on. So where can sellers find out more about My Reseller Genie?
Yeah, so you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Our YouTube's not too exciting unless you like, just getting a sense for what the software looks like. Yeah. But it's training material. And so like it's great to give you a look into the software and see how it works and stuff. But we're not trying to be too entertaining. It's just like, here's how it works. Here's what you do. Yeah, so you can follow us there. You can also go to our website, myresellergenie.com.
Yeah, and on all those social platforms, we're the exact same My Reseller Genie. So
okay,
cool. We come up with our selling platforms now too. So
nice.
Yep.
And so what's next for My Reseller Genie?
Yes, there's always more. Well, I mean, so today we actually just today released a new consignment feature. So
Nice.
for people who
Good deal.
sell for a consigner, they can now attach that consigner to each item and then run a report at the end of the month to calculate what they owe in commission.
It's a really, really big deal. We're so
Cool.
excited about this feature because, yeah, I mean, I feel like more and more like Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like more and more resellers are doing consignments, even if it's just on a really, really small scale.
Yeah.
And so the fact that our software is now set up not just to track, sales inventory across all selling platforms, but for consigners too, we're like, yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, apart from that, we try not to say, specifics of what exactly we're doing. We listen to what users ask for, and then we try and solve those problems. So like the big thing for us is making the software more usable for more different types of resellers and, their situations, and then also adding automation so that you need to spend less time working on your accounting and more time working on your business.
Yes.
Nice. No, congratulations on that consignment launch. That's cool. That is cool.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's like if you're online selling, somebody's inevitably going to ask you to sell their stuff. And, you just have to figure out how that's going to work, what cut you're going to get. Well, thank you, Paul and Faith of My Reseller Genie. Definitely friends of the show. We're friends of yours. Congratulations on everything and all the growth and success. And we'll definitely have you on again.
Thank you so much, Doug. We appreciate it.
Of course.